Hello everyone, welcome to the Bison Coaches Corner. My name is Jeremy Jorgenson. I'm your host this year. It's episode 1. We're talking Bison women's basketball, and we have new head coach Maren Walseth with us to break down the season so far. The Bison are off to a great start, 3-1 in conference play and Summit League play, 7-9 overall. Congratulations, coach, on the season so far. What's been your impression of your team so far through 16 games?
They are a group of kids that just want to keep getting better. I've been very, very impressed with their dedication and their determination, more so than anything. I've asked them to do a lot of things that they've never done, be more mentally engaged, physically engaged, emotionally engaged in every practice and every game. And as tiring as it is for them, I can see that their desire and their wanting to please me and meet my expectation is always there.
And this didn't happen overnight, right? The non-conference play started out a little bit slow, but it seemed like a light bulb went off. They started to click a little bit. Now in conference play, 3-1, just lost your first game barely at Denver. Talk about what changed between the non-conference and the conference.
That's a great question in some respects, but the young ladies have been true to the process of getting a little bit better each and every day. And somebody wrote on my wall in my office, change happens gradually and then suddenly. And you know, for a number of games we saw bits and pieces and small increments of improvement. And then I think once we got back from Christmas and we were able to really be in the gym and get a lot of shots up and watch a lot of film and really be almost professional basketball players, they relaxed a little bit. They had some light bulb moments, and for their sake, I'm so happy that they get to see some W's as the result.
Yeah, good point. Now, much like the men's team, they have Lawrence Alexander to rely on. You have Brooke Lamar. Brooke Lamar's leading the Summit League in 18.9 points a game. She's kind of been that constant, at least offensively, for you. What else does she provide to the team?
She provides, you know, a great competitive mentality. If nothing else, she is a fierce competitor. Sometimes to her own disadvantage, she gets herself wrapped up in it a little too much. But certainly she is our points leader. She is the player that the other players look to kind of bail them out of tough situations. But certainly her energy, her fast pace, wanting the ball in her hands and wanting to push the tempo are things that we as a staff look for her to do, but certainly her teammates do as well.
How about Taylor Thunstead, a freshman, maybe a name that the fans don't recognize yet? They're starting to get to know her. Instant offense off the bench, but boy, she can really shoot it. Talk about her a little bit.
Certainly, you know, she was a point guard. She is a point guard, and she will be a point guard. But there's a lot of transitions for young players to come from high school to college, specifically at the point guard position where there's so much more thinking involved. So we were able to transition Taylor kind of in as a 2-guard, where really all she had to do was catch and shoot. And I think a lot of people have seen that. But over the course of the 3 or 4 last non-conference games, we were really able to put her more in a point guard position, and certainly being able to put her in the point guard position a little bit more with Brooke still on the court here in these first 4 games builds her confidence at the point guard position, thinking the speed of the game, 1 or 2 plays ahead. You know, in high school, a point guard, I want a ball screen, I'll jack up a shot, I'm good. You know, and she doesn't quite have that, and she won't have that at the college level. But being able to think a little bit 1 or 2 plays ahead will be helpful for her, and she's gaining that confidence. She's very confident in herself. She's very confident in her shooting, which is great for us and for her. And she's going to be a fantastic point guard for us in the future. And so we're very happy with where she's at right now. No question.
Talk about your style of play a little bit. When you got hired, I know you said you wanted to be up-tempo a little bit more, and that's playing out that way, averaging 70 points a game overall, 75 points a game in conference play. Talk about the style of play and if you're happy at how that is materializing.
You know, I am happy with where it is. Do I think that we can still play faster? No, I want this program to play faster. I do. But there's a meeting them halfway. When you go from A to B, I can't expect them to be what I have in my mind's eye, you know, overnight or even over one course of one season. It's changing the mentality, and it's changing. A lot of it is the body compositions and the desire and the fitness that doesn't happen over one summer of weight training and conditioning. But for where we are right now, considering we all got started here in June. You know, I'm very happy with where they're. I think Holly Johnson is in the best shape of her life, and certainly that's helping her as a player, which ultimately helps us as a team.
Curious about the South Dakota State win. I know you don't have the history with that matchup, but it resonated with the fans, resonated with everybody, just the impact of that win. What have you seen? What impressed you about your team during that game? Because that matchup has been very one-sided for South Dakota State.
Certainly. We talked about the game plan. And that weekend we had Oral Roberts on Friday. We had one day to prepare for NDSU, and then we had to come out and play. And the attention to detail and the focus for that film session and that shorter practice was at an all-time high. And then throughout the game, obviously you make a couple shots, things become a little bit easier for you. But every time we had a huddle, a timeout, a foul shot, just the determination that was in their eyes of, you want me to do something, I'm going to do exactly what you say. And that made me, I learned and I grew with them that when our backs are against a wall and we're in a tight spot, they know how to execute and they will do so. And again, I'm so happy for them that they get the W at the end of the day. As you mentioned, I don't have that personal vendetta, perhaps, but certainly they do. And with Alyssa Brown being from South Dakota, she can add some insight to that and rev everybody up. But a good win for us, definitely.
Yeah, everyone respects South Dakota State, no doubt, so congratulations on that win. Now the league, you have 2 league games this week, Thursday, Saturday. USD, certainly another very tough team, and then IPFW, but specifically USD, they were the team that finally dethroned South Dakota State down at the conference tournament last year. Obviously very good again. Nicole Seecamp is back. Talk about them specifically and how hard of a road trip that will be.
Every road trip in the conference is going to be very, very difficult when you know the players so well. Even if you don't know exactly what they're going to run, you know the players very, very well. So we're going to go down to South Dakota. We play them on Thursday night, and they're leading the league in points scored per game, I believe, and also just the pace of which they play is much faster than other teams in the conference. So it's going to be a good test for us. But again, our kids have grown each and every day, and I expect us to learn from our loss at Denver last night in this next road trip. How do we adjust some things mentally and obviously from a game plan perspective. But I expect us to come out fighting and to have a good game.
We'll have you covered this week on the Bison Radio Network on Thursday at South Dakota with Jack Michaels, and then Saturday at home with myself and Jack Michaels as well here at the BBF. And best of luck to you, Coach, and great job so far.
Thank you very much, Jeremy.
All right, we'll see you next week on the Coach's Corner, everybody.